Good afternoon and welcome to Community Candor Finance Friday. This is one of a program of Communities First Inc. We are excited today to have a fantastic panel with us as we talk about get ready, stay ready, accessing resources to keep your business afloat. So there is a lot to talk about today, but we want to remind you to make sure to register if you have not. So I'm going to pop up that registration link. You can go to www.tinyurl.com/CFI Building Wealth. That will allow us to keep in touch with you with other opportunities and also to collect some demographic information that we need. Today, our sponsor is Elga Credit Union, which is an exciting thing for us. And we're going to go ahead and get started by hearing from Glenn, who is the president and CEO of Communities First. And he's going to tell us why we're doing this series and why it's important.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad that you're sitting down either having lunch with us or trying to corral your kids for lunch as well. But we're so happy to be here with you today. Part of the reason why we're here is we were getting lots of calls from not just families that we deal with. Like right now, we reach over 25,000 families a year. And you can think about that, throughout the state of Michigan. And people were reaching out to us saying, Communities First, what are you guys going to do? I need some help. I need some additional financial resources. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get through this pandemic. We also had some of the small businesses that we work with that's in some of our commercial spaces and retail, things that we have. And people saying, what am I going to do about my business? Are you guys putting me out? I'm trying to figure out how to adjust my budget. I'm being impacted by COVID. And so what we wanted to do as an organization, talking to our team, and Renee is not on here today, but give her kudos. But she worked hard to help put together this series so we can make sure that we respond to community needs. So it's unacceptable for us to have a name like Communities First and then not respond to the community when they need us. And so we're all about empowering people and building community. And in order to empower people and empower businesses, we have to give them the resources necessary for them to be successful. So thank you so much for being here with us today. We're so excited about this series. We have another one that's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks. So please sign up and register at the link below on your screen. And I just want to I'm going to introduce Karen Church from Elga Credit Union as well. Elga's been a great partner of Communities First over the years, and Karen has done a lot in the Flint and Genesee County community of growing Elga Credit Union. I guess what some people would say is a smaller bank to it turned into a monster. I guess I'm not gonna say a monster, but it's turned into a big bank, So but I mean, it's a great community bank. They have great community partnerships and relationships that they're working here throughout the area as they're continuing to expand. So, Elga's always trying to find ways to include small businesses. So I felt as though they would be good. And when I reached out, had a quick conversation with Karen. She was always happy to jump in. So Karen, if you can, just tell us a little bit about yourself, Elga Credit Union, what you guys got going on before we jump into the rest of this discussion.
Why, thank you, Glenn, and good afternoon, everyone. Elga Credit Union has been in the community since 1951. We have over 5,000 small business accounts here at the credit union, along with 70,000 consumer members. We do everything we can to help you with your finances in times that are good and times that are a little bit rough. We have been a PPP loan funder for the last few weeks, and there's still money left in that fund. So if you haven't taken advantage of figuring out if you're eligible or not for the SBA PPP Forgivable Loan Program, pick up the phone and give us a call, and we'll help you figure that out. You really only need to have positive earnings on your tax return, Schedule C, line 31, if you're a DBA or an independent entrepreneur. Or you have to have had paid employees with W-2 where you filled out a 940 and 941 in 2019. I hate to see those funds sitting there when there are people that could use them and it would really help you. Some of the rules have been expanded as long as the president signs the bill. Both the House and the Senate passed. We're waiting for that word to come through. So it's a good opportunity to help yourselves with some of the funding that the government has put out for you. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. I look forward to the questions coming.
So, Karen, can you give us the bank's phone number? So where would people reach you if they are interested in your service?
Well, they can always start at the website, which is elgacu.com. And our phone number is 810-715-3542. And of course, you would ask for the commercial lending department. You could also email commercial-credit@elgacu.com, and someone will get with you.
Great. Thank you for that information and for sponsoring today's session.
Our pleasure.
Lisa, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, my name's Lisa Davis, and I want to say first thank you to Communities First for inviting me to participate in this very important information sharing panel while we're going through the pandemic, coming out the pandemic, and now with the protests. It's just a lot of things happening with small businesses that are making them feel a little unstable. So this is really good information. We got a lot of great panelists, so I'm really excited. I am the CEO of Community Up, and what we do is provide community development, community economic development, conferences and workshops throughout the year, an annual conference to teach community stakeholders how to work within the Community Reinvestment Act, which is a regulation that helps to provide support and funding and opportunities for community stakeholders in order to grow programming or stabilize their neighborhoods and communities through affordable housing, economic development, neighborhood revitalization. And so we've been doing that for about, I think, 3 or 4 years. And then in my past life, I was a banker for about 20 years, working in community reinvestment. So yeah, that's it. And right now I'm working a lot with small businesses, helping them get stabilized and funding and different things like that.
All right, thank you for that, Lisa, and thank you for being with us. Brian, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Thanks for having me first. Foremost, I am Brian Waldron. I'm the Senior Business Development Director for Bedrock Real Estate Services here in Detroit. If anybody's not familiar with Bedrock Detroit, you can visit our website, which is bedrockdetroit.com. We are, if anybody is familiar with us, a lot of people think of us as a real estate arm, obviously, of Dan Gilbert and, our family of companies that include Quicken Loans, StockX, several other companies. I'll keep it short. But a lot of times we're more associated with larger businesses that are our tenants, whether they be Microsoft, LinkedIn, Coyote Logistics, those type of companies. We are really, well in tune with our small businesses, especially on the retail side. So I think that gives a little bit of clarity on, where we are.
Thank you. Antonio Brown, could you give us an introduction of yourself?
Sure. Hello. First of all, thank you again, Communities First and Elga Credit Union for sponsoring. My name is Antonio Brown. I'm the president of AC Brown CPA and Associates, located in downtown Flint, Michigan. We've been downtown now for over 10 years, and we've been providing financial services, accounting services, tax services for the community and residents in the city of Flint. And so I'm excited to talk to you. I really got ears perked up when Karen talked about Schedule C's and tax forms and different things like that, because I'm knee deep in it right now. So I'm excited about the conversation. I'm here to learn. I'm here to provide any expertise that I possibly can.
And I'm going to guess that you're probably in the minority when it comes to people who enjoy hearing those terms, right? So Craig and Sandra Kelly.
Absolutely.
Craig and Sandra Kelly, could you tell us a little bit briefly just about your business and where you guys are? So.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you to everyone who's tuned in today. And of course, thank Community First for always bringing us great content and just being in touch with what's going on in the community and the needs of the community. And also, Karen, thanks to Elga for sponsoring. We need sponsors, of course, to just make sure we can get the word out there. So thanks a lot. We are Prestige Promotions, LLC. I am Sandra Kelly. I am the COO of the company. This is my husband and business partner, Craig Kelly. Craig is the CEO of the company. Prestige Promotions is a local promotional marketing agency with over 15 years of experience. We help our clients with marketing and branding campaigns, primarily promotional products, branded apparel, commercial printing, and consultative services. Our motto is, we make you look good. And we truly strive to do that. So just some of the industries we serve include higher education, colleges and universities, financial institutions. We work a lot with banks and credit unions, nonprofits, where not only do we service them as clients, but we definitely volunteer. We believe in giving back, and local businesses. So it's been great. We love the business. We love working. We love serving. And we are just really happy to be part of the panel today.
So you guys have been in business, I think you said, did you say 15 years?
Over 15 years,
Over 15
yeah.
years. So you've endured for quite some time. Just give us an idea, just as a business, what have been some of your greatest needs and frustrations, and then maybe how have you addressed those things?
Right. So since the pandemic, one of our greatest needs has been determining how do we stay in front of our customers while complying with social distancing. Being a marketing and branding organization, trying to ensure that we're serving our customers, bringing the right solutions, getting in front of them, maintaining great contact, and having face-to-face meetings has been something that's very instrumental in our success. But it's been disrupted through the pandemic. So, we're a full service promotional marketing and branding company. As Sandra said, most of our business, 75% of our business comes through providing clients with logoed items in the promotional product space, like hats, t-shirts, drinkware, bags. And this is the major segment of our business. The pandemic has eliminated all of our clients' events that we support, and the ability to get in front of them and have face-to-face contact. That's basically dried up, our pipeline of orders and prospects, and that created a very scary future if you let that distract you. Sandra, you want to talk about how we address that?
Well, when you're a small business, as many people who are small businesses know, you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible, and you have to be ready to react to what is going on currently. Not only react, but you have to think ahead and prepare. So one of the things we did is we made the decision early on in the early stages of the pandemic to start offering what was required in the community, and that was PPE and social distancing solutions. And so we added that, as well as consulting services, to our portfolio. And as it turns out, selling PPE and social distancing solutions ended up allowing us to have our best months in March and April. So, you have to take whatever is in front of you and you have to make it work. And small business people, that's what we do. The other thing that we've done is we've enhanced our digital footprint. As Craig said, we haven't been able to get in front of our clients. So we've stepped up our website, our email marketing, been more active on social media, and we've implemented some e-commerce solutions. And all of those have proved to help keep us in the game. And lastly, we've established some standard operating procedures around the digital platforms that we came up with, and we've been integrating them, and it's helped us. It helped us keep our presence in front of our clients. So, with all of that work, we're still here and thriving.
Wow, that's great to hear that in the midst of a pandemic, you guys had a couple of really great months by being creative, being willing to pivot, and have some innovative solutions and providing what people need. And I think that's something important for businesses to hear. You also talked about relationships, and you were maybe more so talking about relationships with your clients and managing that. But I would love to hear from Karen about relationships with a banking institution, and like, what do businesses need to know, and how can they be prepared to approach a bank or a credit union?
First of all, congratulations, Craig and Sandra. What a great story that is to share. Businesses should always start with the deposit side first. It just builds a good foundation for the institution to understand how your business may operate, and it gives a little history. It's always easier to lend when you know a little more about the business itself. When you come in or get ready to open the account, you simply need your DBA if you're doing business as a DBA, and your personal identification. If you are in a corporation or S Corp or a nonprofit, bring your bylaws and certificate of good standing from the state of Michigan, along with the identification of anyone that you want on the account. And that's as easy as it gets. You sit down with someone and they take all that information and get the account opened after they understand what you need. As far as lending goes, you always need to have a well thought out plan of what your business is going to provide, how you're going to get people to purchase what you provide, and your best guess on how much you'll be able to earn in years 1 through 5. We really love to see a written business plan, which can be a little intimidating, and there's lots of help for you to get to actually put the plan on paper. I believe Lisa probably does a little bit of that at Community Up. We've got the SBDC office at Kettering. They do a great job helping people get started. U of M has a small business division that they will help as well. And then we have other organizations in the area like the AAAC, SCORE, VetBiz Central, and the Chamber can direct you to someone that can help. So there's lots of help out there. Don't be afraid that you can't do this, because you can. Read up on it, get some help, put your thoughts on paper, figure out how it's going to work, and then call the lender, make an appointment. Let them know how much you'd like to borrow and what the loan would be for. If you're borrowing for equipment or vehicle, you'd want to bring the information in on that equipment in the vehicle, the description, the VIN number, titles if you have them. If you're borrowing for real estate, we would need a purchase agreement and a legal description, how you plan to insure it, or if it's a refinance, who you owe and how you've your statements and your escrow and anything else that you have going on with that business that you think would be helpful for us to make a determination. We also lend for just general operating. If it's a small amount, it can be done without collateral, but we can use collateral that you may have paid off. There's lots of ways to borrow. The biggest thing is being able to sell your business to that lender and letting them know why they can trust that you're going to make enough money to be able to pay the payments that you're about to set up. If they can see that you can pay back and you've got a good foundation and a plan, it's really not too hard to borrow at all. You just have to walk in the door or pick up the phone and make the call and get it started. And the lenders will also let you know anything else you may need. So don't worry if you don't have it all. They'll give you a good list of what it will take to get started in funding your business. Is there anything else I can answer? Any questions coming in, Essence?
I don't have any questions coming in, but I think Len had a question or a comment.
Yeah, no, I would just say absolutely with working with Elder Credit Union, working with other financial institutions when we're talking about the relationship Karen, I definitely appreciate you mentioning all those resources in the community. So I definitely don't have to run down those, but we'll make sure we put some of those in the comments as well. But as you see, there's so many resources in the community that we can use. However, the problem is that, you know, we have to, as small business owners, as individuals that want to start businesses, one of the biggest things you have to do is put your pride to the side and understand that asking for help is really showing is showing strength, right? Is the weakness part is when you don't ask for help. And so in order to be strong, it's okay to ask for help. And what we want to do is make sure, as any small business, that you're reaching out to the people that have the resources available to you, for you to go and knock on their door. And always remember, a no today is not a no tomorrow. And it's not that they don't want to help you get to where you need to go. And that's part of the reason why we're putting on this today, is that yes, you might have heard a no yesterday, but you might just didn't build the right relationship with the right bank. You might didn't have the right consultant. You might didn't have the right accountant, or you might didn't work with the right retail establishment. But what we're hoping today is take this information and understand that you can get a yes. You just have to work at it, and it's going to take time. So this is definitely a marathon, not a sprint. If you want to be in business for the long haul, you have to take the resources and the information that Karen and all these speakers are going to give us to make sure that we can stay afloat and be around for a long haul.
And that's a great point, Glenn. I would say if a business owner comes to us and we can't help them at that moment, we always give them some tips, some things that they need to work on or pull together or come back with to make it a better option later for lending. We don't like anybody to leave and not know what exactly they have to do to be prepared to borrow.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the signs of a good banking partner is being able to have a relationship and have them help walk you through the process. And you know, it's not necessarily your responsibility, but it's in everybody's best interest to be helpful in that way. So thank you for those resources and for the community mindset that Elga has in that regard. So Glenn, I want to have you talk about how Communities First was able to leverage a relationship and to get a PPP loan. So what was that experience like, and what did we have to have ready to make sure that that happened?
Perspective, I think one of the hardest things from the beginning was what is it, right? What can you do? And I think sometimes what happens is sometimes as an organization, you know, when you hear about money being available, you know, fear creeps in to say, okay, what is the back end of this money? Like, if I get it, what's going to happen, right? Like, there's no free money out here. They're like, oh, it's forgivable, right? However, sometimes you got to jump in, you know, kind of jump in and to the deep end and get to swimming, you know, and figure it out as you go along. Just like the government had to kind of jump in and make the money available, I just, you know, jumped in. One thing I could say that Elga did, we ended up actually working with them on the PPP. But one thing that Elga did immediately was they sent out emails, you know, to the businesses that they work with and say, hey, you know, we want you guys to be ready for when this money comes around. Please reach out to your bankers. And I actually had a banker reach out to me directly and say, hey, are you guys thinking about applying for the PPP? And I said, you know what, I was having some confusion. We talked about it a little bit. He was just as confused as me. And he was like, but we're going to figure this out. And I was like, appreciated that he wasn't like, all this is figured out. We have, you know, he's like, I'm still figuring it out as we go along. However, this is the information I can give you that I know about, but this is the additional information that I can give you as it comes available. And I said, okay. So he said, you know, I needed my Schedule C, the things that Karen ran down, you know, earlier with things that you needed. And I think Antonio's going to speak some more of this later, but just about like financial statements and having things in order, right? One of the most powerful things that you can do as an organization is to have your finances in order. And I think why we were able to move so swiftly and get it in the first go around is because our financial statements and those things were in order. So when they asked for them, we were able to just pull our documentation and we were able to send it. And then we were able to fill out the rest of the information. And when we started getting calls from other small businesses, and we were saying, hey, your financial statements, and then people would say to me, well, yeah, I have my financial bank statements, and I'm not trying to get into Antonio's part, but because we deal with small businesses as well, I was trying to tell people that's not a financial statement, that's not a profit and loss and balance sheet. And so we were able to leverage the PPP quickly is because we were prepared to get it. But my thing was, I was also telling those small businesses, you need to get on the phone with an accountant right now, whoever did your taxes, or find a CPA, and they can go back and amend and get you some financial statements if you have a lot of that information available. And some people just said, I don't want to spend time. I don't want to go back and do that. And I told them, well, how bad do you need this money? Because if you really need this money, if you don't have any workers and you don't have any operating cash right now, how bad do you need the money, right? So if you need the money and you need to hire your employee and you need to keep your employees afloat, then you need to spend that 2 or 3 days pulling documentation together, sitting down with a CPA. And yes, it might cost you a couple $1,000s or a little bit more. And yes, I understand everybody doesn't have a couple $1,000s, but the thing about it is making an investment. Right. That's the other thing about small businesses. Making the investment in your financial statements will help set your business up for more funding later. So yes, it might seem like a investment now and it might seem like a problem, but us having our financials in order allows us to go to many banking institutions that we work with and to be able to pull the money and resources that we need for our organization. And this is not just for small businesses, but that's for nonprofits as well. So we were able to leverage the relationship. We were also able to be prepared. And then we were also able to figure out things as we go along. And so, like I say, we were in one of the first pieces, we were in the first allocation for the PPP. And I know a lot of nonprofits got left out. And like Karen mentioned just here earlier, their bank is still receiving applications. And there are still businesses out here right now that I know that are struggling because they're afraid of going because of what happened in the first round, and they were told no, and they didn't want to spend the time to go after the PPP. And these are funds that are ready to be dispersed. I think we signed a loan agreement on a Friday. The money was in our account by like Monday afternoon. So just letting you know like how quick these funds are ready to be dispersed and out the door are available to you. But you have to get things in order. So I hope that gave you guys some information around the PPP, how we were able to access it, how we were able to be prepared about when they say when opportunity, luck is when preparation and opportunity meet. So I would say we weren't lucky. We just had we were just prepared. The opportunity presented itself, and please work on your financial statements, build those relationships with your bankers so they know who you are, they know your story, they know when you need help. It's nothing wrong with asking and needing help.
So Glenn talked about financial statements, and we want to make sure that everybody knows and understands what services does an accountant provide to businesses, and why would people be opposed to maybe having a CPA in their lives? And then what value do you add to businesses?
Sure. Thank you, Essence. First of all, I've been excited since Karen started talking about this whole financial statements and all that stuff. I mean, so for me, I've been a licensed CPA for over 10 years, and one of the things what I tell people is that your CPA is just as important as your medical doctor, because your CPA, if you're in business, is like your financial doctor. We're there to provide financial services, evaluate your business, help you prepare for your business plan. When you're writing your business plan, you should talk with a CPA to get those numbers right. For that 1 to 5 year mark, you need to make sure that one, is it realistic for the market? There's resources available for market data research, but a CPA can put those numbers together and help you scale, not just stay a small business, but actually scale to a large corporation. So those are one of the things that we do. Probably the most important aspect to CPAs is that financial statement, or what we call attestation services. So at a bank or a credit union, they'll ask you for financial statements. And unfortunately, we can cook the books, we can, make things right personally, but what a institution is going to ask is for a third party CPA, certified public accountant, to provide some attestation services. Do we attest that these financial statements are indeed accurate? And so there's three levels. There's compiled financial statements, there's reviewed financial statements, and then there's audited financial statements, which is the highest level of attestation services. And what we do as CPAs is, you prepare the books, we come in, we review it, we analyze it, we test it, and make sure that those financial statements are accurate. And then we provide the bank, we provide our clients with a letter stating these financial statements have been reviewed by a third party. And if you're engaged in an audit, we will hopefully be able to issue you a letter stating that these financial statements are free from material misstatements. And that's what the banks are looking for. Typically, if you're going after a loan, the bank would ask for at least 2 to 3 years of those financial statements. Glenn alluded to it earlier. Most small businesses are on a cash basis. So we got cash going in, you got cash going out. There's very few accounts receivables, very few accounts payables, and those things. And so we look at, well, if all I deal with is cash, then my bank statement should be sufficient. Well, as a CPA, what I would do is I would take those bank statements, look at your invoices and your receipts that you paid out, those expenses, and put them in a form, a proper form, so the banks can actually see how much revenue you actually came in, and then how much did you actually expend. And hopefully you have more money coming in than you have going out, and you have a net profit. And the banks are more likely to be encouraged to see that you're at least able to pay back that loan, because it is a loan. I do want you, this is a loan. And even when we talk about PPP, it's a loan, but it's a forgivable loan if you follow the criteria for that type of forgiveness. And the only way you're going to be able to prove that is that you have your books in order. And when you're making that report, that final report, after this whole thing is over, they'll say, yes, you did spend 60 to 70% on employees, that 30% or 25% or whatever have you was spent on other operating expenses. Therefore, your loan is forgiven. And so the relationship, I tell people all the time, the relationship with a CPA is just as important as your medical doctor. We do financial health checkups. We can do valuations of your business to make sure how much your business is actually worth today, and then help you achieve those financial goals in a structured model. So that's I've been excited about this Financial Friday workshop. So excuse my enthusiasm, but Schedule C's and S Corps and 1120s, I mean, that does it for me. So yeah.
No, we appreciate your enthusiasm. And I remember in the very, very early days of Communities First, your company came in and assisted us with some financial preparedness. And so here we're in this office that's about this big, right? And it was just funny because I think there's automatically this assumption that, you're going to walk into a shoebox of receipts, right? And we were really fortunate that early on we, invested and we had QuickBooks. we used it to the very best of our ability. And we got to that point where we said, we cannot, even though we were a very small organization at that time, we can't keep doing this ourselves. And we had to hire a finance person. And that was probably one of the most important aspects of why we've been able to grow, is investing in that as a resource and recognizing the importance of having I'm sorry, the analogy, how did you say it? Having our finance doctor, right, on board so that our organization could thrive and grow. So I think that's important. And anybody who doesn't have a finance person who's on their team as a small business, it's more than just making sure your tax return is filed, right? It's also looking at projections and how you can grow your business and where you can cut costs and where you're overspending, right? It's really, really important.
Essence, can I add one thing to it? So you talked about it, and Glenn made one of the misconceptions is that CPAs are expensive. I combat that, and Glenn talked about an investment. So in the finance world, we got what we call a ROI, which is a return on that investment. So if you actually invest in procuring a CPA, a financial expert to assist you in that, it may cost you some upfront dollars, but the return on that investment is worth it. I mean, Essence just talked about the growth opportunities that Community First has had because their finances and their financial statements are in order. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't overly expensive to where that investment wasn't worth it. So that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, definitely would have been much more costly for us had we not made that investment. We probably would still be, in this small office, and not able to grow. So that investment was well worth it, and we realized the benefits of that. So next, we're going to hear from Lisa. What are you finding that businesses need amidst the pandemic and in the season that we're in? And then what kind of resources and tools are available to them?
Thank you, Essence, for that question. What I'm finding that businesses need is, first off, they need encouragement. They need to know that it's going to be okay. Some businesses owners, we've got solopreneurs, we've got some small businesses that haven't seen some of their employees, so they're feeling isolated and they're feeling like, did they make a mistake? Their whole investment of their life has been put into this business, their passion, their heart. And so encouragement, number one, and then some direction. And so I have a consultant side as well. So I have a for-profit consultant side that I do the work with the small businesses. And I start off with about three things, and I talk to them about repositioning their business. So we've heard a lot about pivoting, and sometimes I don't think it's that whole 180. Sometimes I think it's massaging it, maybe a gentle nudge or a gentle sway this way or that way instead of a full 180 pivot. So I work with them about repositioning their business model, trying to think about different things to do like social media, email campaigns, getting back out there, staying in communication with their consumers and still trying to build new consumers, but then also thinking about that business model. And I know you love what you do like this, but we need to look at it a little bit differently. So what are some things that you can do to do your business, and maybe just like Craig and Sandra did? So their products weren't moving that way, but they found a whole nother niche where they could use all their technical skills, their skill set, in order to continue to grow their business, provide products and services for their consumers. And also, like they said, they've had the best March and April that they've had in a long time. Another thing is I try to do is talk to my business owners about the science of business. So what I found out is a lot of people didn't qualify for the PPE because they didn't have their paperwork in order. So understanding how to do policy procedures now in order to create this comfort and communicate the safety for their consumers moving forward in our new normal. How do they develop their business credit? A lot of businesses didn't have bank accounts, or they didn't have their businesses structured correctly. So I go in and try to help them restructure their business and put that business credit in place so that when it's necessary, they'll be able to use it at that time moving forward. Financial forecast, what are they looking like now? How can we forecast your financials in the future? And what are some things we need to do? Because businesses are looking at, they're having to, like retail is going to have to streamline their business. They might not be able to service a lot of customers, or it might be pickup or some different type of model. Can you increase your prices now because you're going to see that you're going to have a loss of revenue due to the fact that you're going to maybe have less products and services that you can offer right now? Or do you offer specials right now to continue to cater to that business, your consumer base, and then maybe look at another way to generate more revenue? Because you have to think some businesses are losing some of the services that they offered, or they're having to decrease it for about 50%. I have barbers and salon owners and plumbers and electricians. Plumbers and electricians can't go, and people aren't comfortable yet letting people into their homes. Barber and salon owners can't have so many people in those waiting rooms anymore, and they can't have service as many customers. So how do you rethink about how you charge those fees? And then the third thing I think I talked to them about is rebranding. And sometimes that's a difficult conversation because businesses are like, I have my consumer base. They know who I am. They know what I do. They know that I'm here. But it's about getting back in front, letting them know that you are here. What are you doing? How are you redoing it? And then getting back in touch with that why with the business owner. Like, authentically, why did you get into this business? And let's try to recommunicate that with your content, with your social media marketing, with your email campaigns, with a phone call, with text message campaigns. I use a lot of technology. I got into my whole business went online 2 years ago. So I'm working with a lot of business owners, take your physical business and let's figure out a way to put it online. So I came out with an onliner kit in April to teach small businesses how to go online. So a lot of the questions were around the PPE, and I also work with them around the economic injury disaster loan. So I just got my deposit today for the nonprofit. So, and helping business owners know you can do both and apply for everything. So I hear everybody, talking about how you apply for everything. The thing that you can always do is decline it. Like when my daughters went to college, apply for all the student loans. You don't need them all, but apply for anything that you can. And you can always decline it once you get approved for it. Same thing with business owners. Apply for everything, and then we can see which, like one business owner was telling me yesterday, I think that one of the loans, the rate, the payment structure just didn't work for them. So they weren't going to take that one, but they had options because they had gotten approved for so many different things. So those are some of the things that I'm working with the business owners on right now, as far as where their concerns are, as far as how they're going to move forward, and then some of the products and services that I have. So we do business plan. I have webinars that I teach how to write your business plan. I have webinars and ebooks on how to build your business credit. I have webinars on how to take your business physical to online. I created a recession-proof financial management and credit management ebook for right away for people to understand how to manage their finances. So just everything, just trying to help with businesses stabilize, stay positive, know you're not out here alone. Everybody's kind of going through it, and we're going to get through it, because guess what? In another 10 years, it's going to be something else. So, and then also trying to help them put that plan in place. So I'm building teams around me. So Antonio, I'll probably give you a call if you work all over. Hopefully you do, because I like to have a team of experts around me that I can refer people to. I think that's very important in my business as a consultant, to have whatever they need available so that I can refer out. So that's what I'm doing.
No, I think you made a lot of good points about the types of resources that people might need and some of the struggles that folks are having. I love what you said about referring, because that's something that small businesses and anybody who's watching can do. If you know of someone who's providing a service that someone else may need, being able to just plug another person's business. And so often we get caught up in our own thing and what we're doing, and not realizing that particularly when it's somebody in a different industry, they're no threat to you, and helping their business ultimately helps your business. And I also think that sometimes the information can seem overwhelming, because we've all, and we're not done yet, but we've all shared a lot so far. And someone did put in the comments, and I'll just show this, that we're providing very good advice. And one of the things is the SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Center. is available to anybody with a small business, and our tax dollars are paying for that service. So why not use them? And so that can be a good starting place. They may not be able to provide everything that you need, but it gives a good starting point. And then also making connections with some of the folks that you're hearing from today, because we've all been there in business, and can hopefully offer some guidance and point you in the right direction. So now we're going to hear from Brian, who's in the Detroit area. So what are you seeing that businesses need? What questions are they having? And then just give us a sense of where things kind of stand in Detroit, and what you're seeing happening right now with businesses.
Definitely. First off, I just, a lot of what I'm going to discuss right now touches on from Craig and Sandra to Lisa, Antonio and Karen, everybody really, to be honest. One of the things that, what we saw initially was on the Bedrock side and in Detroit is that, businesses were going to be going through some things that were essentially unprecedented. You didn't have a time when business just everything shut down. So, and then one of the things we obviously saw was that when business reopened in small businesses, retail, it was going to change dramatically. So one of the things I like to say is that small businesses have an advantage in some senses, is that the fact that they can, everybody's talking about pivoting and changing somewhat. They do have the ability to pivot, but they're pivoting a lot of times, especially if you're service-based in retail, is the fact that you're not carrying the same amount of inventory, right? You don't have inventory that's already pushed out for, 2 to 3 seasons. So it allows you to pivot a little bit differently and plan differently. One of the things that we've noticed in Detroit, the fact is that a lot of things became more community-based. And when I say that, I think that businesses that typically you see run parallel with each other and they never really cross, it gave small businesses an opportunity to interweave and change, right? I think that if you look at some of the major businesses or some of the major companies, you see like the automotive industry and the technology industry, right? For years they ran parallel, but now if you think about it, the biggest computer you have at this point is your car. So I think small businesses really needed to focus on the ability to move quickly, make decisions quickly, not have to go through a lot of different layers and levels of their business, but being able to make those decisions based on what they see and use community and other businesses to further their brand and visibility. Obviously, you're going to look at opportunities as far as digital, but what we looked at was more so how do small businesses who essentially have their niche or have their specific audience, how do they get out in front of a bigger audience? And a lot of them just simply didn't have, a lot of them don't really understand or know or have a following big enough on some of the social media outlets. So that was a pivot for them, and a change and a different type of way to move their businesses. So what we tried to do is specifically is give opportunities to bring a lot of businesses under one umbrella to make it easier for the consumer. So now if let's just say, of course, again, Bedrock, we're a little atypical of most real estate companies. But one of the things that as a small business that you need to do again is use community as a draw in, and you have a bigger footprint through other groups, right? So like something you may have never thought to associate with, you associate with them because ultimately it furthers your brand and it gives you a larger audience. So that's one of the things that we started seeing. And we started planning for making different decisions based upon. Another thing is that I think realistically, at least in Detroit, a lot of small businesses do go through DGC or TechTown or Invest Detroit, the MEDC. So that community in itself, as far as support, gave them that piece. One of the other things I'll say is that I recommend small businesses be very transparent with their landlords, if you have a landlord, and that is to be very transparent in the loans that you're looking at or grants that you're trying to get, because at the same time, some of your landlords, they may be going for the PPP and some of the small business loans and grants also, right? So they understand, they can relate. So it's all about communication and the relationships you've already built as far as that goes.
All right. Well, thanks, Brian. Yeah. So you guys, like you said, you bringing them all under one umbrella, and you guys have been doing some creative things, and we are seeing that, like right now we have people in different parts of the state that's landlords. Can you speak to what Bedrock has been doing as far as with the tenants, as far as with your retail tenants and your restaurants, to give people an idea of some creative things that they can do from a retail side to work with their tenants?
Definitely, Glenn. One of the things that we did was we really looked at this from more of a holistic approach, and what we said, you're only going to be as, we look at things in a lot, sports analogies, I guess you might say, but you're only as strong as your weakest link in a lot of cases, which in my opinion is very true. So our first, means of attack was, how do we support in any way we can? And, I don't know if anybody here is real familiar, but we essentially were given, we gave our retailers, small businesses, retailers in general, restaurants, and also a lot of people don't know, but our small office users also, we gave them rent relief program, which it started in 1st of March and it lasted until May 30th or 31st. And when we did that with the sole objective to find ways to support them during the 90 days that we gave them moving forward, because we really felt, again, business was just going to change in general. And how can we support and give them more of a platform to help them? So the rent relief program was something that, from a national perspective, we were the first, if not one of the only landlords and real estate companies to offer that program. But we felt that Detroit, we're like I said, we're very atypical. We feel that, based just on our chairman and founder with Gilbert, our sole purpose is to see the success of the small businesses in Detroit in general. So that gave us that piece. And then what we learned during that time and just working with our retailers and our tenants is that business is going to change. So we set up a new program moving forward. So post-pandemic, what we've been able to do is we offered for this month in general, for June 1st through the 30th, there'll be complete rent abatement on the parking, your rental rates, and also any other expenses that you paid directly to the landlord, which is us. And moving forward through July through December, we're offering a program that is solely percentage rent based and deal. So typically at least on the retail side, you have a lot of deals that are structured in rental rates, but then also they include a lot of times a percentage rent that works off of obviously the profits and sales. So what we did was we went directly to a 7% share as far as the percentage rent deal, instead of someone paying their actual rental costs per square foot. We felt that would be much better. Obviously, it would protect us somewhat on the success, but at the same time, it would measure and it would allow us to plan moving forward. So these next 6 months, that is what we've done and structured for our retailers. One of the things that we've been able to see moving in that direction is the fact that most businesses, while they're going to change and while they're going to see some differences, if we take it out to the end of the year, it gives us enough time to kind of, again, here's that word, pivot, and understand where business is trending to. I think that was something that, if again you are able to have transparency, it gives us time. And again, we're different than a lot of other businesses. What we try to do is upfront. A lot of our retailers, we ask for sales reports. and our sales reports are solely used to support businesses. If we see trends that maybe you might not even see, like a large retailer like Nike, obviously, they might not see a 6% drop, but because we're here on the ground, they're national, they don't see the 6% drop because we know that several other stores opened up that are in competition with them. So there's different things that we're trying to grasp a hold of and pay attention to, obviously.
Yeah. Well, those sound like some really creative and innovative ideas. I just want to give a friendly reminder. If you have not, please go ahead and register tinyurl.com/CFI Building Wealth. That will make sure that you get everybody's contact information. You'll get some notes, you'll get some resources to help you in your business. We're going to ask everyone to provide us with maybe your 3 best tips for small business owners. And we're going to start with Karen.
Well, obviously, I think we need to make sure we have a great business plan in mind, a flexible thought for other options. Seek out your mentor, seek out Antonio. He is a great resource for you, and there are plenty of free resources in our community that can help you and mentor you.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for being our sponsor today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and Karen shared some other information that we'll make sure we send that out. So once you fill out the building wealth link at the bottom of your screen, we'll make sure to get you those additional resources that she mentioned earlier as well. So thank you.
All right, next, let's hear from Craig and Sandra. What would be your top 3 tips that you could offer to small businesses?
Okay, so tip number 1 is to use this time, this pandemic time, this downtime we have, use this time to work on your business and not in your business. A lot of people are not able to see clients and customers right now. So as Glenn mentioned, as Karen mentioned, as Antonio mentioned, get with professionals that can help you, and yourself work on your business to strengthen it so that on the other side you come out stronger and ready to grow even more. And the second tip is strengthen your current client relationships. It is difficult to get new customers. It is expensive to get customers. So you want to make sure that you hold on to and you take care of the ones that you currently have. Do a reach out right now. We can't see each other face to face. Go old school. Call them. Text them. Let them know you're thinking about them. Send them a card. Better yet, send them a promotional product. So that's a plug. So those are my top 2. Craig's going to cover the last.
And I'll just add to the last point you made about reaching out, maybe sending a card. If you reach out to folks during this difficult and challenging time, they're likely to remember you and that you thought about them when things get better. So sending a card is something that you can do. Branded card gives them something that they'll remember you by, right? And you want to create good memory and brand loyalty with your clients. The third item is establishing, we talked about it a little earlier, is establishing standard operating procedures. I believe one of the other speakers mentioned earlier, Antonio, that the importance of being able to scale. When you document your procedures, your standard operating procedures, you can consistently monitor how well you're delivering on your promises. And then you can also determine if those procedures are scalable and will allow you to grow and maintain the level of service that you desire. And that's pretty much it. And the last thing is keep your eyes out. There may be companies that you can help. I do believe Antonio also, or Lisa or Antonio mentioned that businesses are may lose 50% of their business. So that means a lot of businesses are going to need help. And a great way to grow as a small business is acquiring other businesses. And this is an opportunity to keep on the lookout. You may be able to help someone out and acquire their business and make them a part of your organization and increase your growth.
There's some great tips there. So Antonio, what would be your top 3 tips for businesses?
Yeah, my top tip is to one, make sure that your financial health has been checked. And you may not have a CPA or you may have an accountant, but I would certainly advise small businesses to obtain or retain a CPA to help you during this time, even as you pivot, as you look at your market research. That's another tip that I would tell people to do, is to know your market, know the market that you're serving, know the market that you're in, and kind of put a plug in for Craig and Sandra. Develop and implement a strong marketing campaign. It is important more than ever for you to develop and implement a strong marketing campaign so your small business can thrive through this pandemic. So get an accountant, make sure that your financial statements are in order, know the market that you're playing in or you're producing in, and then develop and implement a strong marketing campaign.
Thank you, Antonio. So get your checkup, get your health checkup, your financial health checkup, probably the physical health checkup too. But Lisa, could you give us what your top 3 tips would be?
I would say I echo what everybody else has said. One of the things that I would challenge business owners to do is to think differently, think outside the box. You've been doing it the same way a long time, but now this environment that we're in says we need to change a little bit. We need to do things a little bit differently, and we need to understand that there's some things that we might have done before that worked really well that we might not be able to do in the future in our new normal. So think about, I've had a lot of social media is very important right now. Open up your consumer base. It's worldwide. Use all of the different social media opportunities, email campaigns, text messaging campaigns. Communication is very important right now because your customers want to hear from you and they want to know what you're doing, and they want to have some transparency within your business and how you're still really interested in helping them meet their needs and provide services and products for that. And I also want to stress the policies and procedures. Sometimes we want to get right back out to business and we're not letting our consumers understand how we're going to keep them healthy. So what are you doing for that happened within the pandemic and moving forward? What are some of the things you're doing? So signage is important. Sending out communication to let them know how you've really thought about it, thought through it, and are going to interact with consumers, and then new tools that you're going to be using. I think those are some important things for small businesses to keep front center in mind.
Thank you, Lisa. Brian, what would you offer as your top 3 tips?
I think everybody pretty much covered most of the bases. I think, again, it's always a few things. Develop best practices, implement them, and make sure that they stay. So that's kind of like critical control points. I look at it. Customer service, some people call it, I call it customer appreciation. You have to have customer appreciation. It can't just be customer service at this point. It has to be outstanding. It has to be better than anybody that's in the same business model as you. And then I think the last piece that I always pay attention to is pay attention to surroundings and what's really going on in the world, because business changes so fast and you don't want to get left behind. A great example is maybe like a Prada, right? Prada at one time was, neck and neck with Gucci and Louis Vuitton, these other, extremely high priced brands. But Prada just didn't get into the e-commerce piece of it and online purchasing. And they lost a huge share of their business because of that. So just understand business, understand some of the trends, try to be as proactive as you can and not reactive.
Great tips there. So we've covered a lot of territory, but obviously we can't take care of it all in an hour. Friendly reminder, we've got Wealthy Wednesday next Wednesday, June 10th at noon, talking about, are you credit worthy? And then on Friday, June 19th at noon, we're talking about Cover Your Assets, CYA, and talking about small business insurance. We're going to let Glenn Wilson, our president and CEO, have final words today. Encourage us and motivate us when it comes to our finances as small businesses.
Right, right. Leave me with the hard part to go after everybody else. So everybody did such a great job today. Thank you so much. Make sure you send them some love. Like in the comments. Let us know how much you appreciated them to come. So leave some comments. We greatly appreciate that. A couple tips I'm going to just leave, just to add to what some of the people said, is that we hope as an organization, like we said, to empower you with resources and to get you information, right? So one of the powerfulest things that you can have as any organization is information, but not only having the information, but actually to implement it. So I challenge you today is don't just listen to what we talked about today and be one of those people say, oh man, that's great information. That's awesome. Then you go talk about it with people and then you like never implement it, right? So that's one thing that gets you from where you're at to where you're trying to go, is the way that you implement it. And yes, you will make mistakes, but that's where growth happens, is when you make mistakes. But as you see, not only is just these great people that are on the panel today that are giving you this information, there are other people that are around you that can help you and give you resources and tools that you need to be successful long term. So I challenge you not to be afraid to ask for help, to put your pride aside, and to understand that there is a world out there waiting for you, your nonprofit organization, your business, your church. And the best way that you can help people is to make sure that your finances are in order for the long haul. It might cost you a little bit now, but I promise you it's going to bring you so much return in the future that you're not going to be able to, you're not even going to even recognize your business in the future. So please invest in your business, invest in your finances. If you have a need, please reach out to us. Essence already mentioned the new community candidates that we have. Understand that Communities First, we are a nonprofit organization. We do operate off donations. And so please, if you have any donations that you'd like to send into the organization, please feel free to do that to continue to help us to continue to bring this programming to you and high quality content in a wonderful way. So thank the speaker so much for coming. We wish you guys nothing but blessings all week. Thank you so much to our panelists again for being on, and everybody have a great day, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.